Do you want to do a podcast? We make a darn good team. It always goes without a hitch. Let's head to Twitch and go start up the stream. Do you want to do a podcast? It's the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Let's start now. Hi everyone and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Come?
All right, I'll do my own bit for myself.
Oh wait, no silence.
We're doing it. Get off the road.
Hey Dave.
Hey, Boater.
It's a little known fact in Star Wars lore that Padme Amidala had a twin named William. There was a curse placed upon them as newborns that said that they would share the same fate. Out of fear, they were separated at birth so that nobody could use one to harm the other. Unfortunately for Padme, someone found William as her pregnancy was coming to term, and they killed him, thus causing her own death as well. It is, as the droid said, she lost the will to live. Hello everyone and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. I'm Boater.
No! Classic Star Wars jokes. I love it. Love how like I'm leaving. Boo! Taco Pill laughed at it.
Hold on, did that finally break my streak, or was that?
No, I liked that one. I just really wish I had it in me to stand up and scream at the top of my lungs.
It's just that everybody knows how stupid it was. She's lost the will to live. That everyone knows the friggin' line. My explanation is just as reasonable as any other.
Does that mean that the next Star Wars movies are going to be about the unrelated Amidala kids that Will Amidala had? Like,
that would be funny.
Like, it's the Skywinkler Amidala saga. Like, what did they do? They lived very middling lives in the 24th and a half century along with Duck Dodgers. I'm Dave Man,
long time ago. It's not in the
by
future.
the way.
There we go. Fine. Well, that took a long time to get through that intro. Oh boy, how's everyone doing tonight? How are you, Dave?
I'm excited. There's a lot of stuff going on in our circles, and a lot of it good, and only one of it bad. That we don't have enough time in the day to do everything. So,
yeah.
What about you?
My shoulder's being a pain today for some reason this afternoon, and then PT was on top of that and kind of kicked my ass. But aside from that, some really cool stuff happening today that we will get to later on in the program. But first, actually, we can get to it pretty soon because Dave, I couldn't find a Twitch ban. I looked and I found one where a couple weeks ago, well, someone was just banned this past week, and we're unsure. Maybe it was an entire thing. It's her third ban. Who was it? It was I forget the name because I didn't write it down. It was like Cute something, Kyot. And I think we talked about her when she got her first ban over the summer. Her third ban was this week. Her second ban was a couple of weeks ago for just a 7-day ban for, quote, spicy content, saying that you can't have anything too risque both on stream or in your bio. And in her bio, there was a link to spicy content. And if you followed it, it just went to a photo of some jalapeno peppers. So the supposition is that she was banned by someone who looked at the link and saw how it was presented, but didn't actually click through to find out. Who knows? Anyway, no worthwhile talking about bans this week.
That's sad, though. Come on.
I don't know. It's one of those things that's like was never really confirmed that that's exactly what it was because Twitch doesn't confirm the exact reasons. Dave, what's coming out this week?
Well, I found 3 very interesting games. 3 games that go in very different directions as well. Although they are none of them coming out on the Stadia anymore.
Were any of them supposed to come out on Stadia?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because
Actually,
that'd be something where it's like this was going to be a Stadia release, but now is not.
the third one may have, and
Maybe,
you'll see
okay.
which one. This first one coming out today for Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X, presented in Nerd Division. This is not that game. So, this one coming out on the 8th for the Switch, the PlayStation 4 and 5, the Xbox Series X, the Xbox... Okay.
This game, the first game.
And now,
Just pick one. This one.
okay.
Coming out on the 8th.
This one coming out on the 8th for the Switch, PlayStation 4 and 5, the Xbox Series X, the Xbox One, and Windows. The first open world installment in the Sonic franchise. And they have gone incredibly far out of their way on the internet and during interviews to say to people, it's not Breath of the Wild with a Sonic skin. It's just not.
Okay.
Gameplay-wise, I'd kind of agree. It doesn't seem to play like Breath of the Wild, but you are saving the Starfall Islands, you are collecting the Chaos Emeralds, and you are, of course, rescuing your friends, because that's Sonic's road in life.
Yeah, there is.
Demon Dragon saying, "Rest in peace, Stadia." So that.
So that's open world, and I wonder how that translates, because I famously I love Mirror's Edge, which I'll be playing on the final installment of the Citadel tonight with a very special guest host. Hint, hint. It's this guy right here. But I played the sequel, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which goes open world, and I didn't enjoy it as much. Kitcher, can you say something? I accidentally... Okay, never mind. There we go. I accidentally pulled on the cable from my headset. I want to make sure it was still plugged in. Catalyst goes open world, and I feel that it's weaker for it. It's something that worked better when there was more linear levels, and I wonder if that'll be the case with Sonic, because Sonic is like a motion type of game that is carefully crafted levels for going forward. And I wonder how it'll work with open world. So I guess we'll find out on the 8th.
My hope is that they've taken a note from the Tony Hawk levels, where instead of it being a linear path, it's, hey, there's a million cool things you can do on this map, and you can chain them together however you choose, but we don't necessarily have an optimal path for... they'll set up one optimal path for you to take, and the rest of it is yours to explore.
Yeah, there will be an obvious path, but then there will be faster paths elsewhere.
Early reviewers of this do not hate it, which I'm excited
Okay,
about.
that is high praise when it comes to a Sonic game.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Love Alec. It looks nifty, but
Yeah.
I'm excited for this one. I am very excited for our second game, coming out on the 1st for the Nintendo Switch, Windows, PS5, Xbox Series X. It's The Lonesome Village. You play as Wes the Coyote in a, quote, puzzle-filled life sim. You're helping the Lonesome Village rebuild after a strange calamity struck them, and you learn more about the origins of the village, the calamity, and more about Wes the Coyote's
That
devilish
looks
background.
really interesting, actually. Like, I'm getting a lot of different game vibes off of that. Like,
This
yeah,
game-
at first it looked like Stardew, and then it reminded me of Moonlighter, and yeah.
This game is out today for most major platforms. Unfortunately, it is not a real game to Dan, as it clocks in at $19.99.
Well, no, it's the specific price point of $39.99 is not a real game. Cheaper than that, fine, it's a cheap game. More expensive than that, it's a full price game. $39.99, not a game. That's, as far as I know, that's Dan's stance on game pricing.
We'll have to get a clarification on
Yep.
that one. But
So that's Lonesome Village out for many different. I'm writing that down actually, because that looks really cool. I may want to check that out.
so another farming sim. I don't know that there are farming elements in the game. There are certainly fishing. There are certainly gathering elements, but not necessarily per se owning and operating a farm. However, there could be Taco Pill. There could very well be.
Lonesome Village on Steam. add it
The
to my wish
last
list.
game, of course, coming out on the 3rd for Windows, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X, not any previous generations and not a Nintendo console. This one called The Chant. You are brought to a remote island for a spiritual retreat until
I don't like it.
an ancient cult, and by ancient I mean the 70s, so ancient by boomer standards, and they open a portal to the gloom. And you have to figure out the cult, their secrets, and the ritual to close the gloom.
So it's like the first reboot of Tomb Raider from like 2013 or so.
Did not play that one. Did not play that one,
It's
so
really
wouldn't
good.
know
I
anything
really,
about it.
I do really recommend it. It's a great example of the action adventure genre.
I'm not going to lie, this is what I picture every time I think of the 20 Seconds to Mars cult that they have. If you didn't know, the band 20 Seconds to Mars, or 30 Seconds to Mars? 20? 30?
I think it's 20.
What?
I think it's
20?
20.
Is it 20? No. No.
Love
I
Alex
did
says
look
30.
30. Yeah, 30 Seconds to Mars. They own a private island and have a cult there. Fun fact you didn't know that you now learned on the Nerd Glasses. And all I could think of when that first bearded dude walked over, I was like, oh, it's Jared Leto! He got another cameo in another thing! Oh, this is probably going to not do very well then.
Taco Pill pointing out that it kind of has the Life is Strange art and lighting style, like art direction, and I can definitely see that.
With the fact that it does become very paranormal and very paradoxical, things going on, things like that, I do enjoy that art style because it plays very well to stark contrasting of, hey, here's what's going on. Now all of a sudden the color palette changes, boom, totally different game.
Red triangle motif looks like Control.
These creatures look terrifying, and I have an even funnier story for a little bit about games that have terrifying creatures that got in some trouble in Japan. But that is all the games that are coming out in the next 7 days.
There is one more new release that we want to highlight today. I've mentioned it a little bit before, but today was the big day. It was the release day of, oh, why did I put them out of reach? Come back! Ugh! Come on, I can reach. There we go.
We rehearse.
The release date of my book, How We Stop the Destroyers. I've been just kind of being all on top of social media today and posting it to Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Sure, we'll boost the Facebook post. And like posted it to a couple different subreddits, a bunch of different Discord things, etc. But yeah, book.
My copy. And now the 6 years it'll take me to read this book.
Probably. If you get through the first page by the end of the Citadel, let me know. I'll be very proud of you. Already
Not
bought
very
one.
fun to make fun of somebody who has a reading developmental disability about that.
You're
Little-
right. That
little
was
shitty
that
of you.
was
Like a lot
that was
shitty of
actually
you.
not terribly cool.
Wow.
I mean, you
So,
also
how
made
is-
fun of yourself. To be fair,
How is your? How are you
To-
liking the book reception
to
so
be
far?
fair, you were saying that you would be reading. You said you'd be reading it during Citadel,
Yes.
and you'd be like, "Ooh, ah," and I was like, "Where are you, Dave?" And you were like, "Page 3."
Yes.
So I was riffing off of your joke. To be fair, but also,
How are you liking
if it
the
was out of the
reception?
blue?
For your book.
Sorry, what?
How are you liking the reception to your book?
It's actually been going pretty nice. It's definitely like a lot of people commenting on Facebook, Twitter, and etc. Like it's been getting good traffic there. But also like a friend of mine that still works at Northshire Bookstore and puts out just, hey, here's all the books that come out today
Mhm.
every Tuesday. One of Jen's students at SUNY Empire saw that and like saw that TikTok and sent it to her like, oh, your brother's book is on TikTok. Which was just like a weird angle for that to come in from. I was at Northshire yesterday taking like a couple of promo photos that I could post, and they mentioned, I was told about a web order that came in. They were like, "Oh, do you know this person?" And they gave me like a real life name, and they said, "Oh, they said they know you," and I was like, "The name doesn't sound familiar," but I'm like 95% sure that it's like the most regular reader and commenter while it was being posted to Reddit.
That's awesome.
I'm in the middle of two separate books. I'll be reading it when I'm done with these two. Very nice. I'm currently doing an advanced read of someone's book. I may have mentioned it earlier this year. The McMurdo Rift by Bradley Lejeune. And I'm currently doing an advanced read of its sequel. And then after that, I've got
Awesome.
just more stuff that I'm reading through. But yeah, this is. I'm gonna say it's a pretty quick read, but also, like, of course I'll read it fast. I've read it a jillion times already while I was editing and all that. But yeah, it's been a really cool process going through. Started writing back in March. Finished.
Oh, so this March to now was the
Yeah.
whole process
Yep.
from.
Started writing in March of this year. I finished the draft in like mid-June and started posting it chapter by chapter onto Reddit r/HFY. And during that I was doing all the editing. So like, July and August was just multiple rounds of editing. Working with someone who's reading it on Google Docs and then getting a hard copy to, you know, metaphorically red pen the thing. Um, and then getting cover art set, and this month has been getting the ebooks all set. And yeah, like there's multiple different places to get it. So I'm gonna drop a link right into chat really quick as soon as my. Did I ever turn my keyboard on? No, I didn't. That makes it really
Yeah,
hard for me to type something in the chat.
I was gonna say you've only been scrolling using your fingers for the last couple of minutes.
Yeah. So if you go to press-enter.net/destroyers,
Hell
um,
yes.
that will bring you to a page that will show a ton of different ways to get the book. The paperback that you see here is available straight from Amazon. You can order it through a ton of different bookstores. Barnes and Noble just automatically imported it to their site, so you can order from them. That link is on there. And of course, you can order it uh, on a roll tonight. Thanks, Love Alec. And you can order it straight from Northshire. If you are local to either Manchester Center, Vermont, or Saratoga Springs, New York, they've got it on the shelves, or you can just order from them online. And all copies from Northshire will be signed copies. So there's that. Uh, and additionally, there's also ebook, so that's available. Like I mentioned, Barnes and Noble. I was setting up the ebook for Barnes and Noble, and then it just automatically linked the paperback to it. Same like uh, on Amazon, it's available on Kindle. It's available on Kobo and Lulu, which are two kind of separate ebook places. It's also on Google Play and Apple Books. So a ton of different places. If you prefer an e-reader and have a marketplace of choice, it should be there. How many copies do you have on you right now? These two, Dave's, as well as one that was damaged when I got a bunch of author copies in. So this one is now destined for set dressing. I have some more physical copies. I'm doing just like a friends and family kind of book release at my place this weekend. I'm saving physical copies for that. After that, I know that a bunch of people are interested in me mailing a copy out to them, and I will be taking care of that next week once I know how many copies I have left and order another batch.
So we've been talking a lot about the book incoming and things like that. Would you mind reading the teaser on the back
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
give
yeah.
people a flavor of what How We Stopped the Destroyers is?
Sure. The destroyers used to be the stuff of legends, of myths, of bedtime stories told to alien children to scare them into living well. They used to be. The galaxy is still reeling from the recent incursion of the destroyers, an all too real enemy that more than lives up to their name. With another strike looming on the horizon, humanity leads the charge to uncover the secrets of subspace, a technology in widespread use across the galaxy but truly understood by no one. The race is on for the scientific breakthrough that will save the Milky Way. Oh, and there's also some pirates having an adventure, but one thing at a time.
Love it.
Uh,
I
this do-
cannot wait to get into this.
this does also include two short stories that I wrote first on that subreddit. I wrote a couple of them in February, and then shortly after that, I started working on the novel. So those two short stories are included as well. They're like in the back of the book. You do not need to read them before reading the main story. I made sure that it's accessible as a standalone, but they're in there for fun and page count.
So where to to start any project, to begin any quest and things like that, and especially to have a year turnaround from an idea in front of a keyboard to physically holding a copy of it here.
Yeah.
Where did this come from? This one's in particular, because I know you have another book, but where did the How We Stopped the Destroyers, the kernel that you wanted and you thought this is going to become
Yeah.
a story?
So, the two short stories really came first, and they kind of tell that first recent incursion of the destroyers. This takes place right after that, but they tell that first story and how that came to be, how humanity's recent ascent onto the galactic stage is shaking up a lot of the power balance. It's the short stories are very much like spy fiction, this kind of espionage kind of thing. Um, Whereas, like, I kind of took that and I said, what story seed do I want to explore? And for me, it was, well, this idea that faster than light travel emits this certain kind of radiation that attracts the destroyers. And I'm like, I don't know where the destroyers come from. I don't know what their purpose is, if they have a purpose.
Yeah.
And I decided to kind of start figuring that out. And I am going to try not to spoil anything, but it was a matter of figuring out who the destroyers are. It seemed natural to me to have like a science team leading the way and trying to discover that. So that is one of the points of view in here. Another one is that pirate set that's mentioned, and they of course get wrapped up in things. I don't
I'm
want
looking
to.
forward to meeting them because pre Nerd Glasses almost every week there's been, or at least on some of Boder's posts or things like that, there's been a lot of references to the pirates and their misadventures. And Boder has been giving me over the months some snippets and secrets and character names and social interactions and things like that. And I'm really
I
looking
will
forward to
say
seeing
this:
these
the
characters take shape.
the captain of the pirate ship, is Captain Hawk Corvin, and he is a species that is basically a big floating pufferfish. Who has and he has found great joy in human pirate fiction. So he dresses with the Age of Sail coat and has the mannerisms and such.
That's
I
awesome.
I kept no, I didn't keep Jack Sparrow in mind when I wrote him. I kept what's his name from Clone Wars? Hondo. I kept Hondo Onaka in mind while writing that
Yes,
particular
Steve.
character. Um and it was just a lot of fun to kind of take like, okay, how would Hondo react to this if I didn't know how my character would react? And it you know helped inform like the writing and what how he verbally speaks, even if it's not necessarily how he acts. So that is
Excellent.
someone was like, "Oh, haha, you should have like keychains to give away," and I was like, I really wish now that I had made keychains of Captain Corvin, of just like a big old pufferfish in a big swishy long coat.
That's awesome. I'm
It
really
was
looking forward to getting into this story. What other question I do want to ask, just because,
Yeah.
like, again, creating is tough, as a lot of you watching out there know, because a lot of you have other endeavors and things like that. So you have a kernel of an idea, you write some short stories, and then you explore into these worlds, these characters, and all these things, and it kind of starts to fall around.
Yeah,
Um,
I start outlining. I didn't have a full outline before I just started writing. I outlined maybe 5 chapters ahead of where I was and kept exploring and then going back and rewriting and folding it together,
nice.
which is still the most outlining that I've ever done in my life. I usually write by the seat of my pants.
So, with that method of writing by the seat of your pants and things like that, do you ever find difficulties with topics or chapters or ideas, and what do you do if you encounter those?
Um, Without going too spoiler heavy, and I will say, I mentioned that this was published, this was serialized on Reddit, and some of this commentary is on there. I come to a point where I say, hey, I realized that in my original outline, everything was going way too well. I had a whole bunch of reasonable characters, and that's not going to do for interesting plot. So I went back 5, 8, 10 chapters and added a new character who would be the monkey wrench, and like basically rewriting stuff from that point forward to fit in this character so they seemed seamless. And I've never
Yeah.
had anyone tell me that the character seemed plugged in after the fact. Um, so I guess it worked. But it is that like the um outlining slightly ahead makes me realize, all right, cool. When I'm 8 chapters ahead of where I am, I can just say, this thing happens. When I get to 3 chapters ahead of where I am, I go, okay, now I need to actually figure out how that happens and set up for it properly. And that's where, like, all right, cool. I need to adjust how this is going. I'm going to try to write it like this. And then, of course, I get to actually writing that chapter, and it doesn't go exactly as outlined. It's a seat of the pants thing of, like, oh no, these characters are doing this somewhat differently.
Yeah.
And I think it worked out for the best. Like, I ended up having more monkey wrenches thrown into that situation than I anticipated. Is just how it happened. Um, and yeah, it is that planning ahead, and it's the not being afraid of going and rewriting stuff. I had a very valuable advanced reader in Adam Bertocci, who wrote The Two Gentlemen of Lebowski. If you are familiar at all with the Big Lebowski as retold as Shakespearean, like in a Shakespearean format, he was the one that did that one. And he's done a bunch of short stories on Kindle, and he was just really valuable with giving me a ton of feedback, some of which was like, all right, yeah, this does need to be fixed. Like I gave him that after I got the first manuscript done, and there was a lot of stuff that was helpful too. He was like, hey, you bring up this theme later. This is probably a good spot to kind of come back to it earlier on here so that it ties together a little more. Um, all things told, his criticism could have been a lot worse, and he was like, I'm generally well known in many circles of being a dick when it comes to reviewing stuff, and I
Yeah.
really didn't get to step on this one's spleen that much, which is odd. So I said, I almost wish you had, but I'm glad that you just kept it to stepping all over my toes. So it was it was a great project to work on this year. I came off of finishing Breakdown of 2-3 at Hypatia, which took years. And although this year it was going out to film festivals and stuff, this was my main creative pursuit this year. And I don't know what's next. Like at the Albany Film Festival, where Breakdown of 2-3 at Hypatia showed, I was asked, "What's your next film? What are you doing next?" And I was like, "I don't know. I got a book coming out." And I'm like, "All right, well now the book is out. I have plans with someone to turn this into an audiobook, so it's got another format. Um, I'm probably going to take my previous book that I did 10 years ago and do a second edition of that, take out the shameless self insert, get it formatted properly, get that. And then as far as an actual new, fresh thing, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to make another movie. I don't know if I'm going to write another book. There's there is more to explore in this setting.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be a full book's worth, but that's what writing is all about, is finding that story. And if it's there, telling it. So that is How We Stop the Destroyers. That is out now in paperback, in ebook. Go to press-enter.net/destroyers to see all the different ways that you can get a copy
Hell
for yourself.
yes.
And again, thank you to everybody that has been so supportive this entire time, from advanced readers like more like Rigor Mortis. um, Thank you for the happy book birthday wishes. Yeah, thank you to the advanced readers, to everyone that was encouraging me. Thank you to the professional cover artist who I reached out to with a somewhat low budget, and he was like, I can work right around that. Like, he didn't have to. This guy does book illustrations for like traditionally published stuff, and I love his work. He didn't. He looks so good. But yeah, everybody involved, thank you so much. It's out now, and it's partially thanks to all of you. So that is How We Stop the Destroyers.
This is going
Out
to be
today.
awesome. So,
Okay.
Porter, what have you been reading or playing recently? What have you been up to?
So I'll start with watching. Um Andor is continuing. I'm really enjoying it. This past episode wasn't one that blew my socks off, but it's one that is setting stuff up.
Nice.
It was episode 8. If it keeps track with the previous episodes, episode 9 is going to be a big one, but it doesn't feel like it was. It doesn't exactly feel like it was working up towards that, so it might just be like building up later on. I did watch Tales of the Jedi, and that is a bunch of shorts. There are 6 episodes in that. There are 3 centered around Ahsoka Tano, and there are 3 centered around Count Dooku.
Cool.
Kind of telling more of Dooku's backstory, telling some of the stuff that might have been missing from Ahsoka's stories. I liked it, but it didn't blow me away. Of the 6 shorts, the last 3 were more interesting to me because they kind of tied more directly into what was going on. Like the the fourth one starts with Count Dooku walking into the library in the Jedi Temple and deleting the records on Kamino, and that tells you where it's taking place in the timeline. And so like that kind of made me sit up and say, "Oh, hey, I kind of know what's going on," rather than telling a different story. Um, Tales of the Jedi was good. If you like those characters, by all means, watch it. If you're not huge on them, you can probably skip it. Um, 3D Bot Maker is back with a brand new track and a Fiero tournament. So that came out yesterday with the first race of that. The track is all right. So I prefer the previous track, which starts up here, has a right angle turn, has a couple of hairpins. This one is similar to the second iteration of the track, just longer. Starts up here and has 5 hairpin turns. It just goes back and forth. There was one point where there was like a wreck on turn 3, and watching the replay, I expected to see it, not realizing that, oh, we're actually down at turn 5. Like it just feels not a whole lot of identity to each turn, as opposed to the identity of the previous track with the initial run, the right angle turn, McClyde straight, etc. So, and the last one that I'll mention, I've been watching a lot of the Russian Badger. Um, that's the one that did the Earth Defense Force video that I showed you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
someone on YouTube that does videos on various games, and he did a couple of videos on a game called Crossout. Um, so I started playing Crossout, which is a free to play vehicular combat game, kind of Mad Max inspired, and one that is all component based. So you build your car either using a blueprint or just from the ground up, put the frame on, put some wheels or tank treads or crab legs or whatever, some armor, some weapons, build it to look however you want, bring it into battle. And I'm still really early on, so there's recognizably cars with guns, which is still fine with me. The core gameplay loop is solid enough, but what I'm hearing is that to have as much fun in a sandbox mode as Badger had, it's very much you need to grind and grind and grind and grind to get all those. But even at the earlier levels of just a car with guns, I'm enjoying it. It's going well.
Well,
So
I could picture when you first said Russian Badger was just, comrade, we must have the honey. Like,
comrade, we kill snake.
we kill Snick and
We
give.
kill. Sorry, yeah, I'm bad with accents. What about you, Dave? What media are you consuming?
I
And then we'll
have
see
been
what snack we are consuming.
I have been very excited that the MLB season has come down to the World Series between the Houston Astros and the Philadelphia Phillies. Going on today is actually a rain delayed game 3. They are tied at 1 apiece. Super excited to see who takes the World Series this year. Also today, or yesterday, started the Overwatch League Finals. The months and months and months and months of brackets and tournaments and games and scrimmages and push and defend all this other comes down to a double elimination bracket tournament, and we will crown the 2022 Overwatch League champion this weekend, actually.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Steve's team, the London Spitfire, have continued on their reign of terror, and my San Francisco Shock have gotten eliminated and are in the loser bracket, hopefully going to win against the team that they lost to the finals last year to. So not at all
Ooh.
nervous about that and not having any shock. It'll be fine.
You
It'll
have
be
my
fine.
condolences.
It'll be a rebuild year, or it'll be an awesome come from behind victory. Either way, that's what the media have been consuming. This weekend, I was able to get back to something I really liked doing because I found out from in preparation for Saratoga Comic Con, which is coming up. Actually, not this weekend, but next weekend. Myself, Steve, and Mike were given some time off to prepare, to rest, and get ready. And I chose, like many people, to just spend 12 hours streaming on Twitch.
Like you
Because
do. That's a responsible
that's
choice always.
Oh, yes, because that's how I relax, by doing more work. And by God, I had a blast. I played some ukulele songs. We had Savannah on, and she got groomed and got some treats and some pets.
Aw.
Then we played some Sea of Thieves because I remembered I bought a copy on the Xbox, don't own an Xbox, and now have a PC that can play PC games. So I played infinitely more of that than I planned on, and then capped off the evening with the game I've been playing in my free time, which is Overwatch 2, which just came out with the Halloween event. And honestly, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah?
It's built into a really cool story. It's a shameless asset flip of previous Overwatch Halloween skins.
Okay.
It really is. But they made a story out of it. It's the no longer Dr. Junkenstein, but it is the bride of Junkenstein, and she is terrorizing the city, and 4 new heroes must fight through all sorts of horrors to find her and defeat her. And it was good. It's a really good Overwatch seasonal event, as they do. It's got a story. It's got different characters. It has different elements to it, which just makes it overall a fun experience. And Bastion is back, and they just recently took May out of the game, so
Yeah,
I'm a
I saw
happy
that.
boy. Will not lie, able to bring back Team Beep Boop was a big thing for playing. Dude Icarus saying it's going to be Spitfire, bitches. I don't know. They were the inaugural champions of the Overwatch League and then just were relegated to absolute obscurity for
Womp
so
womp.
many years. I don't need to know who's winning right now because I, in my heart of hearts, know that it's not the Shock. Because they haven't been winning the first round this whole season. But enough about that. Boater, we put up a poll.
We did put up a poll, and for
And-
once I didn't contribute to it.
We had some choosies, and oh my
Oh my god!
Okay.
So last I looked, Dracula Kisses was ahead with 2.3 channel points spent. Someone decided to drop 24,000 on the Cheetos Bolitas.
So congratulations on your choosing, your
voted?
voting, your
That was
betting.
Steve, wasn't it?
Steve just wants kisses.
He said no, he wanted Dracula Kisses. They're Hershey Kisses. They're not gonna go bad for years.
So these are Chilean cheese cheese balls from
Okay.
Cheetos.
Okay.
I
This is how I get fingerprints all over my notes.
I'm very excited about these just because they look very appetizing, and by God,
Okay, I was gonna say, are you one of those that open the bag by going BAM?
I mean, I could blow the bag up, but I don't think any people would want that.
Wow, that was more like Rick and Mortis that did that big old point dump. Look at that.
Cheesy poof, says Demon
Che-
Jacket.
cheese dusting for fingerprints. Yeah, that's... I think this is more just like the ink pad is boop.
I don't actually have anything to dump them on safely and securely. So
Hold on. I got something. Hold on. Jurassic World Happy Meal egg.
fair.
That is probably more than I'm going to have.
Here you go, Steve.
That one doesn't have a flat bottom. You're going to have to hold that. Dink. Those are fine. Yeah, little bit of an extra tickle at the back of the throat, but otherwise those are Cheetos.
I like them.
Yeah, I
'Cause
mean,
they-
don't get me wrong. Cheetos
Yeah.
are great.
Oh, yes, more like rigor mortis. I am. For the benefit of those who only have sound, you will know the texture by the crunch.
Please move the mic away from your mouth. They can hear you just fine. And plus, now when you talk, you will be louder than God himself. Thank you, though, at least, for chewing with your mouth closed today.
I've been doing that for months. Every time we eat something on the program, moving the mic closer and further. So unlike a lot of folks, I bear that in mind.
I keep it in mind, too. When I know I'm about to get really yelly, you see me smack this out of the way first.
That'd be fair. That'd be fair.
Good going, Steve. Good going, Steve. He says yeah.
That'd be fair. I mean, Steve is the one that has to watch back the whole stream and edit it for clips and things.
Yeah, and then it's like, all right, cool. This was a really great conversation. Shame we can only hear Dave. Because Boater has his mic way out here, and Dave has his mic right here.
And he's chewing on something that he shouldn't be chewing on.
Okay, Dave. Shall we do ourselves an esports recap and then try to move on to a couple of news stories from this week?
Would love to.
Two more. Oh. Oh. Do we have napkins? No. Do I have pants? Yes. Those are paper towels, and they are out of reach. No, my hands are clean. I told you I have pants. Are you good? Yeah, that's fine.
Sometimes I think about
Why
all
we
the people
park
out
on a
there who
driveway
don't,
and why we drive on a parkway.
all those people there who don't vote for the best esports team in all of esportsdom. And I think to myself, do they know they're getting cut rate gaming?
And then I think to myself, if a hot dog is just meat inside of a casing, when you eat a hot dog, it is still a hot dog. And your skin is the casing. And that means, Dave, that we are hot dogs. Anyway,
Soylent Green is people.
okay, so last week was a really, really rough one for SUNY Esports, but coming off a series of close calls in previous weeks, last week saw the SUNY Empire Warzone teams rise to the occasion and nab their first victories of the season. In Angry Keyboard's match against Nassau Community College, NCC's No Aim ABBA single-handedly took the first game 4-1. But SUNY Empire's Philly Blaze and Gecko Electric kind of treated this like one of those things where, you know, like in a samurai movie, where there's a little bit of and then you, like, the antagonist gets the first hit, and then the protagonist is like, aha! I have your measure now. Gecko took 2 kills to ABBA's 1 in Game 2. In Game 3, he dominated the field, taking 7 kills alone to ABBA's 3. Not wanting to let his teammate down, Philly took 3 kills in Game 4 with a final score of 4-2. Overall, the Angry Keyboards took 3 out of 4 games in close matches, totaling 14 kills to 10. Dusty Warzone saw their first win of the season against Buffalo State College. Now, Dusty Warzone is unique in that the team swaps out players every single game so that everybody gets a chance to play on any given night. In Game 1, SUNY Empire fielded Princess Chaos and Lady Assassin. Chaos grabbed more kills than BSC's Real Dirty Dan and Mermaid Boy combined. Mermaid Boy, Dirty Dan, and Lady Assassin each grabbed 2 kills, but Chaos sniped 5 all on her own, securing Game 1 for the Bluebirds.
Hell yeah.
Game 2 was much closer. Sunni Empire's Chaos and BSC's Dirty Dan and Mermaid Boy each secured 1 kill, but Empire's Vonda nabbed 2 to secure a close victory in Game 2. Finally, Game 3 saw the reason that Lady Assassin won VIP in a previous Sunni League season. While BSC's Dirty Dan secured all 6 kills for his team, Lady Assassin took on a whopping 9 kills and the Warzone victory, wrapping up an incredible score of over 9,000
Hell yes.
and clutch victory for the Bluebirds. Finally, Dave, what's a winning week without hearing from Madden superstar Fire Tiger? Once again, Fire Tiger's defense won him the night, and he was a graceful sportsman in light of multiple disconnects from his opponent. In the first game against UAlbany's... Dang it, I should have practiced this competitor's name. Wiliva. Fire Tiger started slow but scored every quarter. They were tied 14-14 at the half, but Fire Tiger secured the win 23-17 at the end. In Game 2, Wiliva DC'd while he was up 21-14. They started the game again to replay the match so that the scores would be intact. And Fire Tiger more than doubled his score in the fourth quarter, securing victory with a pick 6 and bringing the final score to 35-28. In the end, every Bluebird's favorite Madden star took the night 2-0.
Woo!
We're now more than halfway through the regular season for ECAC matches, and the Sunni League is just starting their playoffs. ECAC playoffs start on November 28th, and Sunni playoffs started October 31st. Keep a close eye out for playoff matches being streamed, and of course keep up on all of this at Sunni ESC Esports on Twitter. Anything to add, Dave? Are you still thinking about the hot dog comment?
Just really excited to hear that the teams are really, after those couple of rough weeks,
Yeah.
are really coming back around. It's been really cool to see that they didn't let some L's take the order away from future matches and things.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to see that the wars this week was really all about the Warzone teams, with of course a huge nod to Fire Tiger as he's continuing to rock Madden. But yeah, it's neat to see the teams coming in and getting a lot of good stuff happening. In the past couple weeks, it's been very much a, hey, Sunni Empire didn't take it, but they're keeping their head up. They're being good sports and all that. And it was really nice.
And the numbers have been getting closer every week.
And it was cool this week to finally be able to see that, kind of take that jump ahead, and being able to see that hard work, dedication, and good karma from being good sports the whole time pay off. Dave, what do you have for news topics for us in the gaming and geek world out there?
Well, there was a story on the 30th that knocked my socks off, and I was so excited about it. A leaked trailer for a game was posted and then immediately removed. That trailer being for an announcement of the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake that's been rumored and whispered and all over the internet.
Okay.
Well, thankfully, someone spotted something weird about that trailer, in that in the action of the trailer and things like that, there was footage taken directly from the Unreal Engine 5 asset pack.
Oh.
And just put into the clips. And for those of you that don't know, big developers and things like that will use Unreal Engine 5, and they'll use asset from the asset packs. No developer, AAA level, will take an asset pack given by these people and then just use it in their game one-to-one. They'll put their own graphics. They'll do their own things with it.
They'll do something with it. It's like, even if it's a good starting point, it is that. It's a starting point there. It's not like there's a specific house that I think is in the Unreal Asset Pack that is used for House Party pretty famously, but also has been used for a bunch of other stuff because it's just in there, and that's what people have to work off of. And so, like, if that was used in Metal Gear, it would be very heavily modified.
and especially because it just didn't fit in with the game, even if they had have added or taken away new things. Um, so unfortunately, the Game Awards rumors that they're announcing Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, at least in this case, we can all put our tinfoil hats aside for a little while and hope and wish and want for another day. You know who else is hoping, wishing, and wanting for another day?
Who's that?
Phil Spencer of Microsoft. He's hoping and wishing and wanting that the Federal Trade Commissions, the EU, and the UK will hurry it up with the Activision King acquisition.
Hmm.
However, I'm saying those words. His exact words were that apparently the scrutiny that they are receiving and answering questions about is fair and honest. And that's what he went out of his way to make sure to say, that they will be glad to miss the 2022 original estimated
Yep.
acquisition day year for a 2023 release, as long as everyone is satisfied that they are not making either a monopoly or creating an unfair competitive advantage for themselves,
Yeah.
and many other things that each of these organizations and bodies are looking at. Which, to be honest, if you're spending that many billions of dollars and it's just now sitting in escrow, is a really good way of looking at that.
Yeah. Although the purchase price has already been locked in before the inflation took off, so there's that for them. Another thing Phil Spencer was saying is that expect some Xbox stuff to be going up in price pretty soon. Xbox has not yet listed games at $70, although Sony has, so we might be talking about that. Might be talking about the Xbox Series S, which is currently sold at about a $200 loss per unit. The Series X is only sold at a $100 loss, and that's a little more in line with the industry standards. Sony loses money on PlayStations. I don't think Microsoft has ever made money on Xboxes. It's always been known that they make it through games and such. It might be a price hike for Game Pass. Nobody knows. Phil Spencer just said, expect prices to go up because inflation, but not this holiday season. Looking at after this holiday season. So, um, another. So here's one that I found interesting. Uh, the store is closed is the name of a game that is on Kickstarter right now. It's got a lot of inspiration from SCP, from the back rooms. Kind of has this horror, kind of creepy vibe. Specifically, it's based on an SCP entry for the Infinite IKEA. And we've seen horror stories uh, done in IKEAs before, not by name, but like Horror Store and Finna are both, traditionally published books that deal with a totally not IKEA, but let's be honest, we all know. Um, so the store is closed, does that. Now it's again doesn't use the IKEA branding, but uses stuff that is recognizably IKEA, the shape of the store, the font and layout, whatever. And this UK developer got a cease and desist order from IKEA's US legal office saying, "Don't do that." Um, and the letter itself seems very amateur. Like, consensus seems to be that, oh, well, this was just something that some junior lawyer at the firm found and did this, whatever, uh, to prove that they're doing things. And it sucks because it is spurious. Like, because this is obviously parodying the idea of an IKEA, um, that they should be fine. Um, But the thing is that they're not going to do that to a publisher like Quirk Books, which published Grady Hendrix's Horror Store, because the publisher will fight back and will spend money in court to fight back. Whereas an individual guy who was raising £10,000 on Kickstarter, which, by the way, it massively outfunded itself. I went and I donated to it after this story, so good job, IKEA legal team. Um, uh, I lost my train of thought. Like this guy's not gonna fight them in court, and unfortunately, like he's got to do some, some reworking so it's not as recognizably IKEA, which kind of stinks because that's some of the Like that, I get it. That is the identity of the game, riding on the idea of IKEA, but it's on the idea of parodying it. Like the idea that you can get lost in an IKEA is kind of this age-old thing, as well as the quality of furniture. And this SCP, I think 3008, runs with that as parody.
And it specifically says it's an IKEA location. Like it's not like, oh, it's
Yeah, so
a famous store. Nope, it's an IKEA.
yeah,
Like,
so the SCP one uses IKEA. This changes the name of that, does change a few small details, but the legal thing said you got to change more. Um, so it's the guy doesn't really have much choice. He said he is going to do that. The legal letter was like, oh, you have 10 days to comply, which is like not a lot of time in game dev. Like again, it really felt like someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. It was BS. And unfortunately, IKEA UK responded and said, "Oh, we have to take infringements on our copyright very seriously." It's the kind of thing that I'm pretty sure IKEA would have looked over, but now that it's been brought into the press, they can't just say, "Oh no, go ahead and use our visuals."
because that'll set a precedent for so many
Yeah,
other things to be done
yeah,
in and around IKEA's.
yeah, absolutely.
So many
So,
things.
yeah, that's that. So again, that is called The Store is Closed, and because I kind of like the concept, and again, I want to support the guy, I definitely pitched in on that Kickstarter. I think that it has one more day to run, so it's almost complete. And last I knew, it had like 60,000 pounds raised. But I will double check that, Dave, as you take on the next topic.
Speaking of small developers and things like that, in August, I know we talked a little bit about F1 Manager 2022, a game where you, the gamer, can take over an F1 team from start of the season and push your team all the way to the F1 championships. Frontier Tier Developments, the company in charge of that game,
Mm-hmm.
announced that this month's patch, which is quality of life and suggestions from the players who play the game and things like that, will be the last patch to the game.
Okay.
Game's been out for 2 months, and the company's already kind of done with it and washing
Wow.
their hands of it.
Wow.
Um,
And that's like F1's a big license. It's not like some
Yep.
small little thing.
No.
By the way, yes, it did just pass 60,000 pounds on Kickstarter
Yes.
with how long to go? With 58 hours to go.
Very cool.
So, okay, continue.
Just interesting that Frontier Developments has the F1 license to do these things because it has all of the licenses for all of the different teams and things like that. Why play F1 Manager, says Dudicarus, when you can do the same things in F1 22 and even be a driver? And I think that actually might be part of
Yeah.
the reason
Well,
why
that's the
they
thing,
got
is
out of
that
it.
like these games come out and they end up having a lot of crossover, and it's that idea of like cannibalizing sales and player base from each other.
The player bases for the manager series, because
Mhm.
there is F1, there's FIFA, and a couple other ones over there. It's a very
Yeah.
popular franchise, but in some cases and in a lot of ways, it's a spreadsheet manager, which is not a
Yeah.
bad thing because for some people, I mean, in reality, that's what the people who run a lot of these things do. They sit in front of a computer, they make sure the numbers over in this column can be matched to the numbers over in this column, and if there's a differentiation, there's a reason why they are not the same. Sorry, spoiler alert. A lot of football teams, the exciting things you see on the field happen because there's 8 people bored sitting on spreadsheets making sure that they get paid,
Yeah.
fed, hoteled, and lit. But interesting and sad to see that the developer announced it and then the same day announced, by the way, F1 Manager 2022 going to be 20% off on Xbox this month. And everybody went, why are we buying this game if you're leaving it aside? Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter anymore. Like, we're not doing this. Like,
Yeah.
way to open mouth insert